All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. Going to be breaking down the Monday Night Showdown that we have between the Atlanta Falcons and also the LA Rams. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I do want to start off with calling out the point spread. It is a 7.5 point spread in favor of the Rams winning. To me, that does kind of dictate more of a run-heavy approach from the Rams. I do think we could see Blake Corum get a little bit more involved in the second half as well if that does end up happening. And I do kind of worry about Kirk Cousins being able to get us some garbage time production. And so that might limit how many of the some of the Falcons players that we can be on. That being said, guys, when we look at the game total, this is a very high scoring game at about 50 total points. So obviously, I think we're going to be favoring the Rams a little bit more, but they are also going to be without Davante Adams, which does kind of create an interesting situation for the players that we can be on for the Rams. And let's actually start off with them. And so we have seen that with Davante Adams, again, being out, or he's listed as doubtful, I'm expecting him to sit. We have seen the Rams really go to a lot of 13 personnel. They actually ran it 61% of the time. And so I really like the idea of getting to Terrence Ferguson, who did have a touchdown call back and then ended up getting another one later on in the game. 4 targets for him in that game, guys. 3 receptions, 33 receiving yards. He ended up having 51 air yards in that game, guys, which was more than Colby Parkinson. He was kind of a decent factor in that game. And so if they're going to be running out a lot of 13 personnel, once again, I think he's almost, I don't want to say a lineup block, but last week, guys, I was telling you guys to get to him. He ended up being in some of our top builds last week, which ended up being a pretty good slate for the Rams. So I do really like him. That being said, yes, Davis Allen will get some work as well. He's a fine play. He ended up playing in 65% of the snaps, had 5 targets himself, played in 41% of the routes, and then Colby Parkinson as well. He's at a cheap price. I actually think we could get away with playing both Ferguson and Parkinson in builds. Parkinson played in 85% of the snaps, had a 67% route share as well. I really like both of them. They're both too cheap, but we do know that we are just getting up to Puka Nacua. The question is, do we play Kyren Williams in the captain spot? Do we play Matthew Stafford in the captain spot? Or do we play Puka Nacua in the captain spot? It's tough because we do $2,000 savings to play Stafford rather than Puka does open up the slate a bunch. And I kind of think we need to do that. And if we are playing Ferguson and Parkinson, we're kind of betting on Stafford to hit those two maybe a little bit more so than Puka. But this has been a pretty solid matchup. And so this is kind of what I'm looking at. And we still do have a lot of salary left over when we do this. I think we could easily get to Kyren Williams still if we want to, which I do like the idea of doing. There's a decent chance he ends up scoring a touchdown. And if he doesn't, I think we could just look at Blake Corum as well. I think we want to kind of be setting a rule where we get to one of those two in a decent amount of our builds, probably 60% of our builds. That is a rule that we could end up setting in the lineup builder. And so really, guys, I think we could do at least or exactly one of Kyren Williams or Blake Corum in the flex in about 65% of our builds. I think that's a decent route to go. Maybe we're looking at their kicker a little bit. I also don't hate him. I mean, he's at a fine price tag. We see 14, 12, and 9 points. Maybe the drives stall out a little bit more with obviously Davante Adams being out. That does matter. So, and then from there, guys, we'll go ahead and jump on into Atlanta. I will say they're a little bit more difficult. We do have Drake London currently listed as questionable. I'm expecting him to play. If he were to sit, I think we'd just be really loading up on Kyle Pitts once again, who has just been a top target for Kirk Cousins, and that's partially due to him just not leaving the field. He's playing like 90% of the snaps, 100% of the snaps, 9, 12, 10 targets, 8 targets. Like, he has just been a target machine with Kirk Cousins as his quarterback, and we obviously want to begin to him, but we obviously want to begin to Bijan Robinson as well. And so the slate does become a little bit more simple if we get the news that London is out, because we know to just load up on Robinson and also Kyle Pitts. I don't think we necessarily need to get to Kirk Cousins. And then from there, Algier, Mooney are a little bit in play. I don't necessarily want to mess with them too much. It's very much a funnel offense for the Falcons. And so with that, we'd be hoping to exploit that. So you guys can already see kind of the issue with the lineup process here, right? It's the fact that we just can't make it work. We can't fit all the studs in there. And even if we try to get cute with it and put like Ferguson in the captain spot, that won't work as well, because we do want to begin to Matthew Stafford for sure. And so we are going to have to fade kind of a stud, which I don't love. And like Bijan Robinson has just been such a stud. I don't want to get off of him. And so we'd probably have to get off of Kyle Pitts. Maybe the Rams can shut down Kyle Pitts. Even if we do that, I still do not necessarily like the lineups that we are forced to get to. Okay, because I still want to get to Ferguson, and then we have 2K left over, and then we're maybe looking at a catch from Xavier Smith, Jordan Whittington. The player that we would want to get to the most for value, however, is going to be Mumfield. We can expect him to play about 40% of the snaps, which is basically what he has been playing. But last game, guys, he ended up getting 8 targets, ended up with over 100 air yards. He has been someone that has been targeted downfield as well, a decent amount. And so I do think we could be looking at him as a value. If we could make this lineup work, I would be all for it, but obviously we can't. And so again, that's kind of the annoying part. And so like the best hand build I think I can make right now is just going Algier and hoping that this game stays close. He can still be involved even if Bijan Robinson is in the build. Again, it's not ideal, but that's kind of the route that we're being forced to go to. And so those are my thoughts for kind of what we could be looking at lineup process wise. Let's go and see what the 9-to-5 lineup builder is telling us what will be the top build. So it is seemingly punting to like Xavier Smith, Tutu Atwell, or even potentially Jordan Whittington, just trying to get a lucky catch. I don't hate that, but we are getting to a lot of Mumfield because, well, we're chasing the recent production, or at least the data is, and we are trying to get to some of those values. Now, we do have the rules set to get Blake Corum or Kyron Williamson to a lot of our builds, so that's part of it. The top lineup that we can produce: Stafford, Puka, Robinson, Corum, Davis Allen, Mumfield. Don't hate that. That does make sense as well. But guys, that is going to do it for this video, guys. Be on the lookout for all of the last week of the regular season coverage I'll be putting out for DFS. Typically a fun week, typically one of the bigger weeks actually, just due to a lot of like preseason plays that we were on, gain a lot of playing time, and we draw a decent edge by just following along in the preseason. So hopefully that ends up being a good week next week as well. Hopefully you guys had a good week this week. That's all. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and as always, let's keep cashing.